We are waiting now for the lights to come on. P1, the scout down. P2, Wolfie. P3, Blaze Tim. Dram Lamb there in the chat, going crazy. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And they're out, and it's away we go. Good start from the scout Dan, good start from Wolfie. Blaze Tim not getting as good a start as he would have liked, but can he now come on the inside? Wolfie's going to have a little look on the scout down into turn 1. It's going to be pretty interesting into there as Blaze Tim now coming under pressure from the other Brothers of Destruction car there. Ted MC. It's the scout down from Wolfie, from Blaze Tim, still under pressure from P4. P4 now switching to the Dram Alarm car of Matt's, still fighting Ted MC as it's getting really heated in the back there. P8, 7, 6, 5 and 4 all within about 3 car lengths as they're going too wide there. P4, P5, can Ted MC on the inside just get the push as Matt runs wide in that Dram Alarm car? He's going to lose 2, maybe 3 paces. There's contact there slightly further back. He's going to lose a few more places after that. Ted MC then regaining that 4th place from Connor Rock in the Ryanair racing car, from Zipkart 44, from Zauberdrack, who's made up a place at the start, as Matt now has a 0.5 second penalty. It's the scout down who leads from Wolfie, from Blaze Tim, from the Ted MC there. So the Brothers of Destruction cars, they're having a pretty good start. Also the Python racing cars having a good start. Drink some water, my brother. I am incredibly ill at the minute, but I'm still trying my hardest. We have a little bit of action there towards the back as Connor Rockford in the Ryanair racing car. Zauberdrack now making up another position up into P6. That's 2 positions made in this first lap by Zauberdrack. Connor Rockford there now coming under pressure from Zauberdrack. It's been an incredible start by Zauberdrack. Of course, he's on those racing soft tyres. He's going to have that advantage at the start until they start to wear away. So the scout down in the lead then. 8 tenths now. He's on those racing mediums. He runs wide. Little bit of dipping the wheels onto the grass. He's going to come under pressure from Wolfie. Both these guys on the same tyres. Top 3 on the same tyres on those racing mediums. It seems to be Zauberdrack who now makes his move on Connor Rockford in that Ryanair racing car. Of course, those racing softs now really coming into effect for Zauberdrack as Connor Rockford goes round the outside. Brilliant move there to retake the position, as we also have Zipkart 44 on those soft tyres. Scout down now, still under pressure from Wolfie, still under pressure, but just slightly pulling away now after that mistake into turn 1. Softs are just heaven. It seems to be working brilliantly for Zauberdrack, although he is getting really squirrely going out of the S's as Connor Rockford seems to run wide. There's contact between the two and Zauberdrack is off, and that's going to be into the wall. Nearly coming back across into Connor Rockford as in the background there Matt serves his penalty. Just how Zauberdrack kept that out of the side of Connor Rockford, I will never know. Zipkart 44 there dipping a wheel into the gravel. It's still Scout Dan at out front, followed closely behind by Wolfie. 0.3, 0.4 second gap. He's going to put all the pressure on him down that front straight. Blaze Tim there just dropping slightly further back from these two. Of course, if these two start to fight, he will be all over them. The gap only being a second to P1. P4 for the Ted MC there. As we have the Scout down. He's run wide in that final corner. He's going to lose 2 positions here. He's lost P1. He's lost P2 now. Wolfie now 6 tenths ahead of P2 as the Scout down will now be wanting to push himself, push the tyres up to a level where he will be able to catch back up and regain those positions. Connor Rockford coming under pressure now from Matt as Matt has served his penalty. Connor Rockford just running a little bit wide there, as up front it's still Wolfie from Blaze Tim, from the Scout down, from Ted MC, as there's more action in between P5 and P6 as Zipkart 44 now starting to attack Zauberdrack. perhaps those softs just becoming a little bit worse than they had been for the first couple of laps. Zabudrak, oh, he drops it, nearly drops it. How he saved that, I will never know. It looked like he was going straight for the wall there. For these softs now, he would not be wanting to use the soft grip for defence, he would want to be using it all for attack. But the gap between Zabudrak and the top 4 is 7 seconds, so he's going to have to absolutely put an incredible stint in to catch back up as Wolfie coming under pressure from Blaze Tim. Blaze Tim biding his time in those first few laps, and it seems to be paying off for him, as now he's going to put Wolfie under pressure, going to go for that little switch. Is he going to have a look on the inside now into next corner, later on the brakes, Blaze Tim, but is he too late on the brakes? Or as Wolfie's got a 0.5 second penalty, Blaze Tim into the lead then. Your winner of the Nürburgring race is taking back the lead here in round 3 around Lago Maggiore, as Wolfie taking that half a second penalty. That's going to put him into the clutches of the Scout Dan and his teammate Ted MC. Zipkart 44 still running pretty well in P5 as P6 Zabudrak still struggling, it seems. He's got a little bit of damage. There must have been some contact, or Zabudrak's been in the wall there. Matt still dropping a little bit further back as we have 7 cars now on the track. There seems to be a car missing. Blaze Tim still leading from Wolfie, from the Scout Down, from the Ted MC. The top 4 only covered by 2 seconds. Any mistake from the top 4 and they will fall into the clutches of each other, really. Wolfie, that half second time penalty is going to put him completely at risk of being overtaken, as he's going to serve the penalty zone just coming up, as we have Connor Rockford out of the race in the Ryanair racing car. He seems to have left the lobby, as Wolfie here is going to have to take his penalty. We're going to see what this is going to have to do to him. Only a half second penalty, but all that momentum he's going to lose, especially towards the end of the straight, means he's going to come under some serious pressure from the Scout Dan. Is it going to be a late send? Oh, he has a look, but just couldn't do anything, as he nearly drops it there, the Scout Dan. So now we're approaching the end of the lap 4 out of 25. Another cut. It does seem to be quite a few cuts going on, but track limits are enforced by the game, and if the game doesn't think that it's track limits, then it's not. So the top 4 still covered by about 2 seconds. Blaze Tim from Wolfie still maintaining his position even after that 0.5 second penalty. Top 4 now drafting each other down the straights, all on those racing mediums. It seems that Blaze Tim's tyres slightly worse for wear than Wolfie's. Scout Dan's also slightly worse for wear, but the driver with the best conditioned tyres, it seems, is that Brothers of Destruction car in P4 of Ted MC, perhaps just biding his time here, waiting for that end of stint push where he knows he'll pit, he can use all his tyres. He's keeping the top 3 in his sight, but he's not pushing hard behind them, just biding his time. He doesn't need to push this early on and take life out of his tyres like the top 3 have done. You can see in that bottom left corner there, his tyres are in much better condition than these top 3. Top 3 still Blaze Tim, dipping a wheel on the grass there from Wolfie, from the Scout Down, from Ted MC. Further back we go, we have Zipkart 44, 11.4 seconds now, slightly running wide there. Nearly losing it. 11 as we're looking at a scrap now for P6 and P7. Perhaps Zabudrak's tyres just dropped off a little bit compared to the mediums of Matt. There is definitely contact there between Zabudrak and Matt. It's going to be who can brake later into their hairpin. Of course, it's a downhill hairpin, difficult braking zone, but could Zabudrak send it? He has a look, he just thinks about it. I thought he was going to have a look and have another look and have another look there, but he backs out of it. This fight will continue all the way to the main straight, as it is getting pretty close now up front. 0.7 seconds between P1, P2. The top 4 covered now by 3.2 seconds, so Ted MC just biding his time, looking after his tyres, as it seems the Scout Dan's taken the most life out. Ted MC now, just biding his time, lap 6 now, as this fight for last place. Zabadrak's going to have a look on the inside of the final corner. Could he make it? No, just the overspeed of Mats. Just manages to get it, but it's a 0.5 second penalty for Mats. That'll be for track limits. It's going into turn 1 now. Can he have a look? Oh, it's so close between the two of them. He's going to have a look. Oh, there's almost contact there. Almost contact. But it just manages both of them to keep going and to the next corner. We've got a yellow flag up ahead. Zipkart 44 having spun there. It's going to allow these two to gain a position with Mats with that 0.5 second penalty. The penalty zone is slightly further along the track. So we are going to see a move by Zabadrak into the right-hander. It's a brilliant move there, late on the brakes, textbook. Could Mats have another look though? He's got that penalty. That penalty zone is just on its way up, in the next straight pretty much. Zabadrak now should be free from pressure, as that penalty is going to mean Mats is going to have to slow down back to the top 4. Still about 6-7 tenths between the top 2, about 1.3 seconds between the top 3, and about 3.2 between the top 4. Ted MC still with the best conditioned tyres. When it comes to later on in the stint, when a push lap is needed, he will have that grip, he will have that pace available to him. Dipping a wheel on the grass there. That's not going to help him or help his tyres, although he has gained about 0.2 seconds on that lap. Wolfie there with fastest lap 57.0. Pretty consistent lap times from the top 4. As the Wolfie starts to gain on Blaze Tim now. Is he going to have a look into the hairpin towards the end of this straight? Both of them getting on the grass there. He's slipstreaming. Is it going to be a late lunge? He just buys his time. Are we going to see a move into the downhill hairpin here between Blaze Tim and Wolfie? They've got to be careful not to take too much life out of their tyres, not to lose too much time when they're fighting each other, because they have the other Brothers of Destruction car right behind them, 2.6 seconds now behind them, and his tyres are in better condition than theirs. Are we going to see a move now? The Scout Dan only just slightly behind the two of them. 1.1 second covering the top 3. This is going to be a close race. Blaze Tim there. Oh, different wheel on the grass, nearly dropping it, but he managed to hold on. Wolfie still that top 4, not really going round processionally. They seem to be so consistent with their times, each driver having pretty consistent times. Zipkart 44 on those racing softs, they seem to have dropped off, even though he's managing to catch up to Mats. Perhaps Mats making a mistake there, but Zipkart 44, especially that front left, is looking pretty degraded, as Mats there definitely goes off. Zipkart 44 is going to have a look, and he's got it, but those tyres not really working for him as he goes off, just not having the grip. It seems this battle between the two of them will continue into that first straight and into that first corner, I'm sure, as the grip Mats will have will be more than Zipkart 44, as those tyres have degraded quite significantly at this point. Blaze Tim then from Wolfie, from the Scout Dan, just getting on that curb. Ted MC just biding his time, but if you look at that bottom left corner there, it just seems like Ted MC's tyres are in much better condition than the rest of the top 4. The gap's still at about 3 seconds, 8 laps covered, so not quite at the pit stop window just yet. 19 seconds to Zauberdrag, still on those racing softs. Then Mats on those racing mediums. Zipcot 44 on the racing softs. The only two starting on the racing softs seem to be towards the back of the pack. That is not what they would have wanted. Starting on the faster tyre, they would have wanted to be up there. P4, P3, maybe even P2, and then sticking on those harder tyres towards the end of the race, they would have been able to defend that position. Wolfie still on the tail of Blaze Tim. 0.3 seconds now the gap. Just a little mistake there, it seemed, by Blaze Tim. Just understeer. It just seems like his fronts are not got the grip that he's used to, as the Scout Dan has definitely taken the most out of his tyres out of this top three. Ted MC seems to be the tyre whisperer today. He's looking after those tyres brilliantly, just biding his time. 2.3 seconds now, he's knocked it down by about 7/10. He knows when the top three's tyres start to fall off, that is his chance. He can start to pick them off one by one. Still about a 20-second gap to Zauberdrag in P5, who's going to have to make his pit stop pretty soon because those tyres are starting to look a little bit sketchy. Zipcart 44 getting a 0.5 second penalty. Those tyres don't seem to be working for him, as he's now dropped 4 seconds to Matt on those racing mediums, whose next target will be Zauberdrag. P1, P2 covered now by 0.205 seconds. Are we going to see him move into that downhill hairpin? It depends how close Wolfie can follow Blaze Tim through these high speed corners. As we know, the dirty air will have an effect, as Wolfie just drops to about 3 seconds, but he seems to have got a slightly better exit there. Is he going to have a look now? It's turned the hairpin, the downhill hairpin. Seems like he's going to go for the inside. Blaze Tim pushes him towards the inside, just trying to reduce that radius of that turn so that Wolfie will have to knock a bit more speed off. Scout Dan watching all of this, knowing that any mistake, any slip up, and he'll be on them. Although despite his tyres just having a little bit more wear than the others, seems that Ted MC has the best tyre wear still. It's almost as if those tyres have been put on at a pit stop and he's not been running them the whole race. At this rate, he could do the whole race on them. He's absolutely talking these tyres through this early stage, as Wolfie there just looked a little bit wide through that final corner. Is this going to make him susceptible on this lap to the Scout down? He certainly dropped a few tenths of a second to Blaze Tim there. The Energy Racing car just looking a little bit more comfortable. Was that a little bit of track limits there by the McLaren? Wolfie still about 6/10 behind, as it's about 2.5 seconds to the other Brothers of Destruction car. It's still about 20-21 seconds to Zauberdrag on those racing softs. That's good pace from him on some degraded soft tyres to keep up with these top four on those medium tyres. Matt's having a 2-second lap last time round, perhaps a mistake, just like we've seen there, him running wide. Zipcot 44 following Matt's line there, running wide. Those tyres are quite significantly degraded by this point. That front left looking a little bit tricky for him. Blaze Tim and Wolfie, the gap 0.1 seconds. Are we going to see a late lunge? Oh, not quite. He thinks about it, but he just backs out, perhaps looking to make his move down that start-finish straight. Scout Dan has dropped off a little bit now, coming under a bit of pressure from Ted MC on those fresher tyres. Scout Dan's tyres being possibly the most degraded out of the top four, and Ted MC's being the best out of the top four. If he's ever going to be a time to use the grip of those fresher tyres, it's going to be now, as he will not want to be held up by the Scout Dan. He'll want to keep his eye on Wolfie and Blaze Tim. so that when the time does come, he can manage to get both of those two as well. The Blaze Tim running slightly wide there, dipping a wheel on the grass, and it looks like Wolfie got a slightly better exit. It's only about 3/10 between the two of them as the Scout Dan and the Ted MC are into the pit. I'm going to see him move into turn 1, not quite. There's a little bit of a bump there, it seems. Maybe there was contact, but Wolfie there looking for a move on Blaze Tim. The gap's still about 3/10 of a second, 4/10 of a second. It's really dependent on the sort of exit they get, as Wolfie seems to just get a slightly worse exit there. It seems like Blaze Tim's going to pull away from it a little bit on the straight. Ted MC and the Scout Dan both coming out on the soft tyres. Perhaps not the best strategy, as we've seen from Zauberdrack at the start. Those soft tyres don't last too long, as he's already in for his medium stop, and we're not even at halfway yet. Mats is also in for those soft tyres. Zipcart 44 staying on those soft tyres. 11 laps does that to the soft tyres, and we've got more than 11 laps left to go. So perhaps Ted MC and the Scout Dan came in slightly too early there to really benefit from the longevity of the medium tyres. Certainly Ted MC had plenty of life left in those medium tyres compared to the Scout Dan. Wolfie now really looking quite close to Blaze Tim yet again as we're coming round to end the lap. These two going round pretty much processionally, as it seems like. Wolfie is just doing as much as he can to put the pressure on Blaze Tim. Their tyres looking pretty much the same, although it seems Wolfie's just used a little bit more fuel than Blaze Tim. Come around this final corner, Wolfie just looked to get a little bit of a better exit as Blaze Tim comes into the pit. Those medium tyres looking a little bit worn, but is that too early? Is Wolfie going to go for the overcut here? Is Blaze Tim going to get undercut here by the Python race car of the Scout Dan and the other Brothers of Destruction car of Ted MC? Let's see, having the tyre change done. It's going to be close on the exit, and the Scout Dan's got him. Is Ted MC going to have him as well? Oh, seems he just run wide trying to avoid him. So Blaze Tim there losing out to the Scout Dan, and their tyres only being a lap, and only being a lap difference on the tyres means that Blaze Tim will not benefit from having all that fresher tyres, even though he's lost out from the undercut. Is Wolfie here gonna play the long game, go for that overcut, so that he's got much fresher softs at the end for when the other three's softs degrade? Because we know those softs, Zipcart's in for some mediums, but we know those softs, Zipcart pitted after about lap 12, and those softs were very badly degraded. So we can say that they can possibly get 12 or 13 laps out of them. They pitted on about lap 11. That's pushing it towards the end. Scout Dan now will be starting to come under pressure from Blaze Tim, as Blaze Tim tries to regain that second position. Of course, the leader of the race for much of that first half, now in P3, net P2, as the Scout Dan appears to be in net P1, as if Wolfie pitted now from being behind Blaze Tim before the pit stops, unless he's pulled out an absolute worldie of a lap to overcut them, is gonna come out as he is coming in for those soft tyres. This will put the Scout Dan into P1. Sorry. The Scout Dan now coming down that main straight. Wolfie's in, getting those tyres switched onto the soft tyres. He's played the overcut, but he's been jumped by his teammate. It's going to be close. Oh, so close there between his teammate. So it's the Scout Dan into P1. Perhaps a strategic masterstroke by him to get track position, coming in early. But Blaze Tim is going to be all over him. Ted MC is going to be under pressure now from his teammate. Is he going to let him pass? Is there going to be a bit of team orders going on here? A little bit of working together, as they won't want to hold each other up. and Wolfie is on those slightly fresher tyres. But as Matt's still P5, 30 seconds off the lead, 28 seconds off P4. Zauberdracht P6, Zipkart 44, P7, all on the racing medium, apart from Matt's on those racing softs. The bottom two on those racing mediums, those two will go to the end, possibly looking to capitalise on any issues further up. So the top four covered by 3.1 seconds is P1 and P2 just separated by 7/10 of a second. 7/10 of a second between P1 and P2, as Blaze Tim there setting a fastest middle sector. This lap could be the fastest lap, as the Scout Dan holds it last lap. Could we see Blaze Tim putting in a lap for that fastest lap point? The Brothers Destruction car just separated out a little bit. Blaze Tim does set that fastest lap. The Scout Dan will start to come under a little bit of pressure. His tyres looking a little bit worse for wear than Blaze Tim, even though there's only a lap gap between their pit stops. Scout Dan will be coming under pressure very, very quickly by Blaze Tim, especially down the straight, as that slipstream comes into effect. Ted MC and Wolfie still pretty processional, as Ted MC there setting a fastest of all first sector, really using all that curb on the outside there. It's getting pretty close there, or the Scout Dan just couldn't get the front to bite there. It seems to be wrestling with it somewhat. Blaze Tim now all over the back of the Scout Dan. It seems like he's had a better run through there. Could he have ascend now into the downhill hairpin? He's looking close enough to have ascend. The Scout Dan goes defensive. Blaze Tim goes to the left, possibly looking for that switchback. Has he got the switchback? He's going to have a go. It's all on the exit now. Who can get the better exit? Blaze Tim just has to concede that he wasn't close enough alongside, but he's going to have a little look at a switchback here. It's going to be on the inside for the right-hander. It's side by side between the two of them, or a little bit of contact there. It's still side by side. This is brilliant racing here, as the Scout Dan manages to defend his position, and this will bring the two Brothers of Destruction cars into play here, as the defense by the Scout Dan and the fighting of Blaze Tim a little bit on the grass there is going to make this top four all bunch up. Lap 15, 10 laps left of the Lago Maggoire race. This Blaze Tim is coming all over the back of the Scout Dan, who's coming under a lot of pressure from the Blaze Tim. Going to be into this right-hander now. Both of them there looking a little bit squirrely. That's the Scout Dan setting a fastest of all in that middle sector. Are we going to see a move here into the S's? No, Blaze Tim just backs out of it a little bit, perhaps looking for that downhill hairpin, as the Scout Dan just can't seem to get that front turn in. And Blaze Tim's going to have a look around the outside. It switches to the inside for the next corner. The Scout Dan has to give him space. It seems like Blaze Tim has got the move done, although the Scout Dan will come back at him side by side now towards that downhill hairpin. It seems like the Blaze Tim just got that straight line speed on the brakes. Can the Scout Dan go for that switchback? Just couldn't get that front turn in. It seems the Scout Dan's tyres, especially the front, are just not quite there compared to the rest of the top four. Wolfie's tyres there, being at the back of this pack, seem to be in the best condition, so that will play into his hands slightly later on, as well as we see Ted MC going off there, making a mistake. That's going to put Wolfie up into P3. The Scout Dan now still on the back of Blaze Tim. He's not pulled away from him. Could we see a return move by the Scout Dan? Going into turn 1. 0.2 seconds, 0.3 seconds. Is this gonna turn into the battle for the final 9 laps of this race? It's Blaze Tim there, fishtailing out of turn 2. To turn 3 they go. It's turns right to turn 4. A couple of different lines you can take for that corner. Scout Dan opting to go for that slightly tighter line. Could that pay dividends for him, as he seems to be a little bit closer to Blaze Tim there? Could he have a look into this right-hander? On the brakes, no, he's all over the back of him. Seemed to be a bit of contact there between the two of them. There's a Scout down there. Just looked like he got all up on the back of Blaze Tim. As we go through the S's now, this is where the Scout down struggles. He can't get that front bite. He runs wide. All on the grass is Blaze Tim. Just slightly getting a little bit squirrely there. Could the Scout down use that to his advantage? It's 0.4 seconds now, the gap between the two of them. But this racing is absolutely brilliant. Could the Scout Dan have an absolute send here? From quite far away, he's not quite close enough to do it. But into turn 1, could we see quite a late lunge by the Scout Dan, just to try and put Blaze Tim in a position where he's got to make it. Lap 16, 9 laps left, 8 laps left after we cross the line. Still Blaze Tim from the Scout Dan, from Wilson, from Ted MC, from Mats. 40 seconds now from the top 4. Zauberdrag, Zipcart 44, occupying a pretty close position on track. Possibly later on going to come under a bit of pressure from the leaders, as Blaze Tim and the Scout down there both making a mistake, running slightly wide. That's not going to fare well with Wolfie and the 10MC just behind them. Scout down there looking like he's got a little bit of understeer with those soft tyres. We did say that the soft tyres seem to last about 12-13 laps, but they are starting to degrade. 50% wear, and they're about 50% through their stint, so it's going to be sliding all over the place then towards the end of this race. Blaze Tim in first then, dropped the Scout down by 0.8 of a second, their last lap only being about a 10th different. Wolfie P3 is starting to put a bit of pressure on the Scout Dan, as there's only about half a second gap between them. Could we see Wolfie? Of course, he's got the best tyres out of this 4. Could we see Wolfie perhaps later on in the race start to put a bit of pressure on P1 as Wolfie really close it up to the back of the Scout Dan? Could we see a move into turn 1? Are we going to see a move into turn 1? As he's only 1.2 seconds off the lead. Could we see Wolfie here in these dying laps come through to pass P2, P1? As it seemed like the Scout Dan got a little bit squirrely there. Are we going to see a move into turn 1? 0.3 seconds. The gap's closing because of that slipstream. Just a little bit too far behind to make that move. But are we going to see another move into the downhill hairpin later on this lap, or will Wolfie find a way through earlier? Oh, side by side, he's found a way through as well. Wolfie alongside the Scout Dan, he's going to be later on the brakes. He's going to have a go. Oh, it's close between the two of them. Wolfie manages to get that P2 though. The Scout Dan yet again struggling with those fronts, it seems, as Wolfie's tyres are just in so much better condition than the Scout Dan's tyres, which seems to be just dropping off as his tyres are in the worst condition of this top four. But Wolfie's tyres are in better condition just slightly than Blaze Tim's, so that 1.4 second gap could come down in the coming laps. Blaze Tim still in the lead, 1.3 seconds, 1.3 seconds to P2, and then there's a 6/7 gap to P3 and P4. 45 back to P5, and then a minute yet again. Zipcart 44 and Zauberdrag possibly later on in the race will come and have a little battle, as they are not too far away from each other on the track. But Blaze Tim, that gap between him and Wolfie just come down by about 2-3 tenths this lap. The better tyres on Wolfie's car seem to be playing into his hands, but he's got to be careful not to take too much life out of them, as he's just taken a tenth out of Blaze Tim in that sector. As further back we've got to move up front by the 10MC on the Scout Dan. Those tyres are just not working for him, as the 10MC's later on the brakes gets the turn in, and the move's made. The Scout Dan's going to try the switch on him, possibly going wider to come and cut back in, as the gap 0.9 seconds between the top two now. From 1.4 this time last lap to 1 second now, as Wolfie just runs wide there. That's going to hamper his progress on trying to catch Blaze Tim. Scout Dan tyres really start to drop off. Fuel will not be an issue for these guys. Tyres might be, as we approach the dying laps. 6 laps left, of course. 6 laps, 6/10 between P1 and P2. As Blaze Tim seemingly getting a little bit offline there in through the S's, just getting all on the grass. Wolfie getting a little bit aggressive now with his driving, just trying to push, trying to find time where he can. That gap is coming down. He's got better tyres, better conditioned tyres than Blaze Tim. He's going to be pushing hard now. He knows this is the time he needs to switch on. This is the time he needs to start pushing if he wants to win this race. Blaze Tim, of course, still holding that fastest lap. Blaze Tim holding the fastest lap, dipping a wheel on the grass there. That's not going to help him in his battle with Wolfie, who's going to drop the gap now to 5/10, half a second, as we're coming on to 5 laps left. As Wolfie just dips a wheel on the grass there, but seemingly unaffected there. Wolfie is so later on the brakes there, as he's dropped a tenth in the braking zone, only to lose it again in the next corner. Oh no, never mind, he's 0.3 seconds now behind Blaze Tim. Wolfie possibly going to have a look later on this lap, if he can't find a way through earlier, that is. It seems those tyres are switched on, as the Blaze Tim just got to take a little bit more care, slightly more warm rubber, a lap between these two pit stops. Remember, Scout Dan really having dropped off now with those tyres. 5 laps more he's got to do on those tyres. He's really going to struggle, but he has got a large gap behind him, so he can pit again and go for that fastest lap point. 10MC is going to have to just bide his time here. If these two start fighting, which they are doing, Wolfie on the left, Blaze Tim goes defensive, just covering that dive. Are we going to see a dive? No, but Blaze Tim keeps that defensive line. That shorter radius of the corner is going to hamper his exit, as Wolfie seems to get a slightly better exit. Dropping that gap, 2.6, 0.26. Oh, he's possibly going to have a look here. He has a look, but he's just filling up those mirrors of Blaze Tim, just letting him know he's there, so that when he does have a look, when he does decide he wants to get past, he will know that Blaze Tim will know he's coming. 10MC still in P3, 1.5 seconds covering the top 3 as the scout down now is a half a second penalty. Perhaps in his best interest at this point to hit and go for that fastest lap point. Blaze Tim holds it at the minute. That will be another point for him in the championship, and it will be his second win of the season if he manages to keep Wolfie behind. If Wolfie excuse me, manages to get past, which is looking like he's awfully close here, he's going to pull to the left instead of going to the inside. He's going to try it round the outside. He brakes awfully late there, and he's possibly going to go for the switch. Oh, getting all fishtaily out there. The switch, has it worked? So close between them, but it just looks like Blaze Tim has got ahead, and he's got that priority line into that corner as he runs slightly wide there. Not quite taking the optimal line, and that means Wolfie's going to be all up behind him, coming down towards the downhill hairpin as we see Blaze Tim going defensive there. Wolfie's going to sit in that slipstream. He's going to pull to the right. Is he going to switch to the left? He is. He's sent the dummy for Blaze Tim. He's going to try it round the outside. This will be an incredible move as he pulls it off. Not quite, as Blaze Tim just brakes later. But the Blaze Tim, his tyres are just slightly worse condition. So if these two keep fighting, Wolfie is going to have the advantage. So now we are heading towards the final few laps of the race. 21 laps covered, nearly 22 laps covered. And in a few laps, these might start catch up to Zauber Drag, who is coming into turn 1 now as we speak, as these guys are going around that final turn. Blaze Tim in first from Wolfie, who's dropped back now 0.6 of a second, the gap. Still the scout down in 4th. That front left there looking a little bit problematic for him. The gap now 0.5 of a second. Wolfie has the fresher tyres by a lap, but can he make use of them to get that P1? Is he going to have a look? Oh, he set a personal fastest fastest of the race, sorry, in that first sector. So he still has pace on those tyres. He still has pace that is to be unlocked, as it's 2/10 now. 2/10 now, the gap. As he just runs wide, maybe not quite getting the fronts to bite. Is Wolfie. Similar to what Scout Dan was having to deal with when his tyres started to go off as well. 10MC now starting to appear in this battle, coming up behind them, only 8-9 behind. If these two fight, these two hold each other up, 10MC is in a very good position here, as his tyres do appear to be in the best condition out of this top 3. 0.3 now the gap. Oh, Wolfie just getting a little flick of oversteer there. That's going to mean 10MC is all over him. Coming into the final corner now. The gap seems to have spread out a little bit between this top 3. That will mean Blaze Tim coming into lap 23 will be under slightly less pressure. And perhaps that mistake from Wolfie has cost him a chance at the win. As not only is he further back from Blaze Tim, he will also have to contend with his teammate who has slightly fresher tyres than him, slightly better conditioned tyres than him, just coming up behind him. 1.5 seconds covered the top 3 with only 2 laps to go. Blaze Tim there, getting all on that outside curb. That's going to drop him a couple hundreds down this straight, as Wolfie in that slipstream catching up to Blaze Tim. 4/10 now, 3/10 now. Can he nail this S's section, as he just couldn't get the fronts to bite last time? It does look like he's got that front of the car turn in as he taking time out of Blaze Tim through here. Blaze Tim now on the grass on that outside. It means Wolfie is going to be all over him again, but time is running out for Wolfie. He's got to make his move. He's got to make his move stick in these next 2 laps, otherwise he will not win. Tyres on Blaze Tim's car, the front 2 just starting to fall away slightly. If you look at that bottom left there, Wolfie's just in slightly better condition here, as the gap's only 0.2 seconds coming into this final sector. Wolfie perhaps just biding his time because he knows that turn 1 is a brilliant opportunity to make a move. Coming out here, it's all about the exit now. All about that exit. It seems that Wolfie's got a pretty good exit on Blaze Tim. He's going to go to the inside. But has he pulled out too early? No, he hasn't. He's gone for the move. Is there going to be contact? It looks like there was just the slightest of contact. Not enough to push either of them offline. But Ted MC now, with those fresher tyres, is going to be all over these two. As the Scout Dad's tyres are seriously degraded at this point. Why he hasn't come in, switched them, gone for that fastest lap. But the gap now between the top 3 is closing up from 1.5 seconds last lap to 0.8 seconds this lap. It's all about now who can nail this section, as Blaze Tim yet again just dipping a wheel on the grass. Wolfie is going to be all over the back of him through here. 2.8 now seconds. This is it. This has got to be it. The penultimate lap. He's got to send it here. He's got to be later on the brakes. Is he going to be close enough? No. It seems like he backs out. Perhaps going for that switchback. As Ted MC here, this is all going to go down to this final lap. Because as a racing driver, on that final lap, you do not want to back out. On that final lap, you do send it. As Wolfie here, perhaps having a look into this final sector here. We've lost the camera. I think Blaze Tim just braking a little bit later here. But Ted MC has just got front in better condition than the Blaze Tim and Wolfie. So when it comes down to it, on this final lap, it is going to be a free-for-all. Every man for himself on this final lap. Team orders will not matter. Wolfie and Ted MC will both be after this win. As Ted MC, perhaps having a little look there, just letting Blaze Tim know he's there. Is he going to be close enough down towards the uphill right-hander after this straight for a move? Or is he going to wait for that downhill hairpin later on in the lap to make his pass for the lead? Lap 25 now. Both of them going off the track. Wolfie, is he going to send it here, or is he going to bide his time? He's going to bide his time. This move is going to happen, and it's going to happen. If it does happen, that downhill hairpin, it all depends on if Wolfie can get the fronts to bite through here. Does look like he's managed it, but has Blaze Tim just got a better line than Wolfie? 0.4, 0.6. Oh, Wolfie on the grass there. He's not going to be close enough to Blaze Tim to send it here. It looks like it's just going to be processional now towards this final sector, unless Wolfie can absolutely send it into this downhill hairpin, which he's just not close enough. Getting as much curve as he can, fishtailing out of it. It looks like it's going to be Blaze Tim, unless he makes a mistake, which is uncharacteristic of him. It looks like it's going to be Blaze Tim for the win, and then it will just be Ted MC and Wolfie fighting for P2 and P3. So as we're coming round now, the final few corners, unless Wolfie can get a much better exit through here, they're getting pretty close. It's not yet over. Unless Blaze Tim absolutely ruins this final corner, which it doesn't look like he's done. He looks like from leading at the start of the race is going to be Blaze Tim. Second win of the season from Wolfie, from 10MC. A good race for the Brothers of Destruction cars. The Scout Dan is going to come across the line. P4, some absolutely degraded tyres there. It's going to be sliding it across the line as it's going to be Matt in the Alfa Romeo 4C GT3 is going to come across the line in P5. Zipcar and Zabadrak now on the final lap having a little scrap. Zabadrak seems to have got him on the exit of the corner. Zipcar's tyres must be just falling away as those fronts look not in ideal condition, as Zipcar maybe is going to have a look here down towards the downhill hairpin. Could we see a move here? Or is he just too far behind? Half a second just seems to be slightly too far behind. It is. So Matt's coming round the final few corners is just going to come across the line in P5. Zabadrak and Zipcar 44. Zipcar 44 really pushing there, trying to catch up to Zabadrak before this race finishes. These two still racing on the final lap. Zabadrak manages to get him on that final lap as Zipcar 44 runs wide, hops over the curb, and it's going to be over for him. He comes across the line P7 as Zabadrak finishes P6.